What's up, y'all? Halfway through the week, we're at Wednesday. We enter in chapter 11. For this chapter, once again, I will be reading it um, because we do not have a YouTube link for chapter 11. But first, as always, we're going to go into our questions and review those first, and I'm going to help facilitate how to answer those. We're going to start with our Please Do Now. Have you ever experienced a dream or deep thought that seemed real? What was it like? So, obviously, dreams are when you sleep, but a deep thought or a daydream can happen like during the day when you're just sitting around, you're thinking, looking out the window, looking at the sky, and you're just like in a deep thought about something. It can be about food, it can be about, you know, if you're dreaming, it can be something like a scary dream, someone's chasing you. I've had a lot of those that felt like real life, like somebody was after me. Or one of those dreams when I'm like falling off of something. It can be like off a building or just like I trip and fail, and the fall is taking forever to happen. But it felt real, and then you just kind of like wake up or snap out of it, and it's like, oh, that was just a dream or a thought. Tell me about something like that. What was it like for you? Going into the chapter 11 questions, the very first one says, how does Olaf compare himself to a snake in the first paragraph? What does he mean? So in that first paragraph, it will answer this question. How does he compare himself to a snake in the first paragraph? What does he mean? So very first paragraph will give you the answer you're looking for. Second question, what would La find Aunt Cecil and Tyree doing when he came home after school after their mother died? So what would they be doing? They would be sitting around, standing around, huddled up, talking to each other, doing something. What would they be doing? And then also the third question, who is Dr. Vernon? So he was kind of mentioned in the last chapter yesterday as well. Dr. Vernon. Who was Dr. Vernon? Next question, how did Laugh feel about Dr. Vernon? Use evidence from the text to support your answer. So it would be very clear how you felt about Dr. Vernon. You really have to read the chapter. I'm looking at some of you all's work, and you're not reading the chapter. You're like literally guessing, I think. And read the chapter. It'll let you know, or listen to it. Last question on page 86. On page 86. They're giving you the specific page where to look for this answer. Laf says, I told him about the hairy hands that came in my throat in the middle of the night. The hands that wanted to choke me for not saving Mama. What is he referring to? Hint. It is figurative. Is it figurative or literal? What would he do when this happened? So figurative or literal? Figurative means like it's not real, right? So when I say, man, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse, that's figurative language, right? That's not a real thing. I'm not gonna ever be able to eat a whole horse. First of all, I wouldn't eat a horse, but secondly, I wouldn't be able to eat that much food or that much meat in one sitting ever, right? So it's just figurative language. It's not real. A literal language is something like, man, I'm so thirsty I can drink a bottle of water. That's literal. I can do that. That's obtainable. I'm so tired I could take a nap. That's literal. Like I can lay down and take a nap right now. So literal is something that's like real, something that can really happen. Figurative is something like an exaggeration, right? You say like someone's sweating hard, you can say, oh, they're sweating bullets because they're sweating so much. So is it literal or figurative? And when I'm thinking about that, I have a hard time believing that that's like something that really happened. Again, remember, he's having a dream. All right. So go ahead and answer that on page 86. That's where you get your information for that question. So now I'm going to go into the reading of chapter 11. Right now you can cut out if you don't want to listen to me read, or you can stay around and listen to me read again. You can join me on Zoom 10 to 10:30 a.m. every weekday, Monday through Friday. All right, chapter 11. Tyree was alright after Mama died, but I was all wrong. The year before, I'd seen this show about snakes. They showed this one snake slipping out of his old skin and then leaving that old skin on the ground behind him. That's how I felt, like Mama'd been my skin. But I hadn't grown a new skin underneath like that snake had. I was just blood and bones spreading all over the place. That's disgusting. Every night Tyree stayed with me in my room till I cried myself to sleep. and the next morning he'd find me sleeping curled up on the floor beside his bed. After a few weeks of me ending up on the floor, he called Aunt Cecil and she came back to New York and asked around trying to find a doctor I could go to, a psychologist. Some afternoons I'd come home from school to find Aunt Cecil sitting in the dining room table writing down and crossing out numbers as she talked on the phone. And some evenings I'd catch her and Tyree whispering about different doctors, their fees, and social service benefits. The one afternoon, Aunt Cecil announced that she found a person I could talk to named Dr. Vernon. That Wednesday, and for a whole lot of Wednesdays after that, Aunt Cecil would take me to Dr. Vernon, an old man with a nice office in Harlem. Harlem is a borough in New York. His office was all wood and windows and smelled like heat and dust and worn blankets. Smells I'd always liked. So while Aunt Cecil sat in the waiting room, I went into Dr. Vernon's office. I was afraid because the warm blanket smell felt like it was covering me up, protecting me. Well, I wasn't afraid, sorry. The first time I went to Dr. Vernon, he put some paper and some markers on his desk and asked me to draw a picture for him. There was a little table in the corner, and he told me I could sit there and draw for as long as I liked. But I didn't want to draw. I sat at the table for a long time just feeling the warm blanket around me and staring at the blank white paper and those markers until Dr. Vernon told me it was okay to go. The second time I went, Dr. Vernon gave me the paper and the markers again. I wrote my name in blue, Lafayette Miguel Bailey. Then I wrote Tyree's whole name, which is Tyree Alfonso Bailey. And Charlie's name, Charles Javier Bailey. I stared at the paper until Dr. Vernon came over to see. He was tall and thin, the way Tyree said my daddy had been. But Dr. Vernon's hair was white like Aunt Cecil's, and he had a white beard, a skinny black Santa Claus. I stared at the paper, and I could feel him standing above me, staring down at it too. That's your family, he said. I shrugged. Any other members? I shook my head. How does that make you feel? Dr. Vernon asked. I shrugged again, like nothing. You feel like you're nothing, Lafayette? No, I know I'm something. I'm just saying that not having a mama and daddy don't feel like nothing. It's just the way things are. And how does that make you feel, he asked. Again, I stared down at the paper, at me and my brother's names. It was a lot of white space where there wasn't any writing. I had tried to write our names real big, but they still looked small, almost like nothing against all that white. I want my mama back, I whispered. Dr. Vernon patted me on the shoulder and said, I know you do, Lafayette. We stayed like that a long time, me staring down at the paper. Dr. Vernon softly patting my shoulder. We didn't say anything. There wasn't anything to say. After a long while had passed, Dr. Vernon said, You can go now, Lafayette. But I didn't want to go. I liked the way it felt to have Dr. Vernon patting my shoulder. I liked how deep and soft his voice was. So I came back every Wednesday for a whole year. And while Dr. Vernon stood above me or sat beside me, I drew pictures and told him what I remembered and what I wished for. I told him about the hairy hands that came in my throat in the middle of the night and the hands that wanted to choke me for not saving Mama. And now the only way I could keep them away from me was to go into Mama's room where she was waiting for me, where she told me to lie down and go to sleep, that everything would be all right soon. What does all right mean, Lafayette? Dr. Vernon asked me one Wednesday. By then, Aunt Cecil had long gone back down south, and I took the train by myself. I had gotten used to the train ride, to Dr. Vernon's wood and window office, to his soft voice telling me all the things I'd done right in my life, and how it wasn't my fault Mama had died. I looked down at the picture I had been drawing. It was a picture of me and Tyree walking together down our block. Tyree had his hand around my shoulder and was smiling. I had my hands in my pockets and was looking up at him. I held the picture up so Dr. Vernon could get a closer look at it. This, I said, feeling a smile coming on. If you're scared at night, Dr. Vernon began, but I didn't let him finish. Then Tyree's there for me, Tyree and Mama. Where's your Mama, Lafayette? Dr. Vernon asked softly. His white eyes crinkled, and he looked at me like he was searching my face for something. She died, I whispered. I know that, but I still feel her. Where? Everywhere. I looked at Dr. Vernon. It was almost time to go. He told me a while back that this would be my last visit with him, that I had done all the work I needed to do here. He said I was gonna be okay. Dr. Vernon smiled and patted my shoulder. You can go now, Lafayette. Maybe I'll see you around sometime. Yeah, I said. When I got to the door, I turned to him and waved goodbye, then ran back over and hugged him hard. Maybe, I said.